we'll work quickly. All right, getting data into R. Okay. All right. So last week we covered programming and functions and flow control and that good stuff. All right. And before that, data control structures. All right. This week we'll cover some inputs and outputs and scraping the web, and then we'll look at tidyr and dplyr, and we'll start to introduce some of the things in the tidyverse Hadley's packages, which are all excellent and you should learn them. Okay. At least at this point in time. Perhaps things will change in the future, but okay. Input from a file. You got read.table, read.csv. These are kind of like your basic commands. I'm assuming you guys learned these in Stats 20, so I don't really need to cover that. Read line will take it input from standard in, which is like in tic-tac-toe, you prompt the user for stuff. You'll probably use read line if you haven't figured that part out already. Okay. These are some other excellent packages for importing data. We've got reader, which is kind of like your all-around everything for text files, handles CSVs and TXT files very well. If you've got other things like Excel files or SAS or Stata files or things like that, then you can use Haven or Read Excel. Our department uses R very heavily, and we kind of have a bias against Excel. But in much of the business world, when people start talking statistics, they'll say like, "Oh, I'm using Excel for this," and you'll roll your eyes inside your head, but not not visibly. But the truth is if somebody else is using Excel, you're going to have to allow for that, unless you can convince them that R is the way to go. But good luck with anybody outside of our department, or anybody who's not coming from a stats or CS background, right? All right, and then there's data.table, which is very useful if you've got very large files, like on the orders of gigabytes and things like that, or over 100 megabytes. Data.table has a function called fread for fast reading. It's very, very good. Okay, and then all of these things you can read more about it. Okay, we've got downloader, package downloader, which so there's a function called download already built into R, or I think I'm sorry, download.file, which is pretty useful. But then these days, a lot of things you have to have a secure connection for. Just you go to Google and it like defaults to secure and things like that. So which is good, but it just complicates things. And so this package downloader helps handle these secure things. So I guess I'm just throwing all these packages at you and expecting you to install them on your machine and maybe do a little bit of reading. There's lubridate, which is a play on words. Whatever. Okay. So it makes getting date information into R much easier. So the way R handles dates is it stores it basically as a number of days since I forget, some 1970 date or something like that. Okay. And it's a pain. Okay. Look at this. All right. So when you load up library lubridate, it allows you to import dates in a very easy way. Okay. All you have to do is, let me, something happened here. So you can have, basically take these string entries, 6/2005, which our brains we interpret immediately as August 6th, 2005, okay? And this one we see January 15th, 1999, and this we see as December 15th, 2001, okay? Our brains are very good at this. Lubridate kind of does us a service, and then all we have to say is the date is in the form of a day, month, year, or month, day, year, or whatever it is, year, month, day, things like that, and it will figure it out. Okay, so both of these, this January 15th, 1999 and 12/15/2001, these are both in month, day, year, but they look very differently, okay? But lubridate will handle both of them with ease, okay? So if I load, oh, my console is up here for this session here. And I can just load in these strings, okay? So these are just strings, right? And then I can just say turn that into a date, and it does. Turn this into a date, January 15th, and it does. And turn this thing into a date, and it does, okay? So we can see, indeed, these are month, day, year things, okay? If we wanted to do the same thing without lubridate, we would have to use the as.date function, okay? And as.date works, okay, but it's very painful to use. So you have to give it the exact representation in this format section. You have to give it the exact representation, and where did those things go? You either have to use %d for short date and %b for you know, kind of abbreviated month or something, and if you don't use it exactly the way it appears, it's going to fail. So if any one of these things, like if I didn't put this comma in here, it doesn't know what you're talking about. So you have to put in, like, okay, I got a comma, or if I don't put the space, oh, okay, the space it can handle, but if any of these, you know, if I use the capital D instead of the lowercase d, it fails. So you can see how painful that will be. So lubridate, excellent package if you're dealing with date information. Yes?
For the lubridate functions, can any permutation between others work?
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I don't know all these details, but I don't know. We'll look at help lubridate. Lubridate without package. Well, I'll just go to Google and ask basically lubridate, and then you can read up on this. But I'm pretty sure that you have a month, day, year, year, month, day type of, yeah, it'll list off all the kind of the different forms of the things. Okay, so there's a bunch of stuff if you want to read through all of that. All I have to say is it makes handling dates way easier, and I don't try to do date stuff without it. Okay, it just makes your life easier. Okay, you can do it without, but if you don't want to waste time on date stuff, it's the way to go. All right, and then there's another package called rvest. Okay, I mean, this is basically, that's what packages do. Okay, packages just take the functions in base R or other, and then they just put them together into ways that make your life easier. And so that's it, right? Like, I guess you can build a house with just a hammer, and a hacksaw or a wood saw, but you know, it's much easier if you have all these other nicer tools. rvest. So you can scrape the web using rvest and the selector gadget. Okay, and we'll take a look here, and let me just open up. So you can go to selector gadget here. I guess I have it as a bookmark in my Chrome toolbar here. But you can look up selector gadget, and you can drag this bookmark to your toolbar. I mean, it's a few years old already, but it still works very well. Or I guess they have a Chrome extension, so you can use it, and it will tell you how to select certain things out of a web page. All right, so well, I'll do a little demo on rvest in just a few minutes here. And when I first saw rvest being used, I thought it was super amazing. I still think it's super amazing. Are you guys familiar with rvest? Kind of? Okay, so maybe it's not that amazing anymore for you guys. Well, we'll take a look at some stuff. So are you guys also familiar with pipes and the Magrider package? Maybe, maybe not. Okay, so pipes. So rvest uses pipes. dplyr uses pipes, and so pipes is, if you dealt with the bash terminal and things like that, you have pipes which basically say take the output of this function or this command, and rather than having to store this output and then call another command on that output, you can just pipe that output directly into the next function. Okay, so it saves you kind of some work here. All right. So for example, let's say you just wanted to do some kind of task like this, right? You're going to take all the integers from 1 through 1,000, find the ones that are divisible by 3 and are also less than 200 or greater than 800, and not find the square root, find the standard deviation of those values. I should fix that. Okay, so find the standard deviation of those values, and this is what you can do. So if you did not have pipes, you would have to nest functions inside each other, right? And we're probably familiar with R, how you put functions inside other functions, and then sometimes you end up with this gargantuan thing, and you forget when you're trying to parse what exactly it's doing. It's easy to miss it, right? So here's we're taking standard deviation at the end, and we're starting off by first subsetting all the values that are divisible by 3, and of those we're going to find the ones that are less than 200 or greater than 800, and we're subsetting them that way. Okay. Another way is we would say, okay, take the values 1 through 1,000, store those into A, and then subset A by making them divisible by 3. Okay, and then store that into B, and then we're going to subset B by taking those values of B that are less than 200 or greater than 800, store that into C, and take the standard deviation of C. Okay, and this is probably a little bit more readable. All right. So this is fine, and basically what piping does is, instead of having to say store this as A and then do this next thing and store it as B and then do this next thing and store it as C and then run this last command on C, basically piping just says take this, pipe it into this function, pipe that output into this function, and pipe that output into here. All right, and so I'll show you what that looks like. Okay, so you use library Magrider, or if you load up dplyr or any other function, it loads it in the background. Okay, and it just says take this and feed that into subset. Okay, and you use this notation where dot is kind of like the previous output. Other functions you can leave out the dot and it still works. You can throw the dot in there. So basically it says take the functions the numbers 1 through 1,000, throw it into this thing, and take those values that are less than 3. All right, and then throw that into this function where you're going to subset those output values that are less than 200 and greater than 800, and then throw that into the standard deviation function. Okay, and so that's piping, and I think it's pretty cool. All right, and so we'll take a look at some of this stuff a little bit more with tidyr and dplyr. Are you guys have you used tidyr and dplyr? Yes, no, maybe. So okay, so I've got some people nodding and some people shaking their heads, so we'll cover it. Okay, all right, so let's I have a little demo on using rvest, and I've put this code up on CCLE, I believe, this rvest demo code. Okay, and so in order for this to work, you'll need these packages installed. So I guess you should also have install.packages stringer and data.table if you don't have those already. Okay, and so I'm going to load up. I'm going to just clear this out, and we'll clear our console. Okay, so I'm going to load up these libraries, and that's fine. Okay, So what we're going to do is first we're going to just show, we're going to go to the Lego Movie webpage on IMDb. All right. So this is the Lego Movie, and it has all of this. Okay, and what we want to do is we can from this thing. So the function I'm going to do is called read_HTML. Okay, and basically all this tells R. It says go to this web page and read the HTML, which is basically how the page is written up, and we're going to say take that HTML reading and store it as Lego Movie. Okay, and it takes a moment because it's going on the internet, and there you have it. Okay. And it says Lego Movie is a list of 2, and you can ask, what's the structure of this HTML thing, and it says, oops, of course not, and it's got this thing node and doc, and it's all this weird stuff. Okay, and so it's a little bit hard to do. Oh, I also did, I guess, Shawshank Redemption, but anyway, we can just take this, all right. And so here I'm using pipe. Okay, so this is the data in the HTML, right? So we told rvest to go to this page, and it's storing the HTML in this variable Lego Movie, and we're going to throw that, and we're going to say HTML_nodes, and the quote here is strong span. Okay, so what does that mean? All right, so what we want is we want to, from our movie, what we want to do is we want to get this number, the rating. Okay, so we're going to try to, so on IMDb it has all these ratings and things like that, and so we're going to try to pull out this number 7.8. Okay, can we extract this from the web page? So the way we do it is, you're going to want to put that selector gadget into your toolbar or something, and then or bookmarks bar, and then you click it, okay, and it loads up this junk or this little thing on your into your browser. Okay, and then suddenly, like, everything you highlight, you see, like, okay, these are the different things. So what we want is we want this thing that says 7.8. Okay, so we're going to click 7.8. Okay, and now it highlights a whole bunch of stuff, right? And we're like, so right now the current way it's selecting is via span. Okay, so if you're not familiar, in HTML they have these CSS tags, and it basically says for this, usually any site that runs off a database, which is going to be things like IMDb and things like that, they say the way we want you to display this information is here's a tag, and over here I'm defining how this thing should be displayed. Okay, so as soon as I click this 7.8, it highlights a whole bunch of things. It actually highlights 575 things. So then what I do is I say, okay, well, I don't want this. So now this thing says is red, and I'll click that, and that makes my selection go down. It's now down to 75. It's reduced the things I'm selecting. I'll say I don't want this, so I click that. Okay, now I'm down to 3. So let's see. We don't want this. Okay, and so now I'm down to just one thing, the 7.8. That's great. Click. This is the only thing I want. Okay, and it says the way you're going to get a hold of 7.8 is you're going to use this phrase strong span. Okay, so on this entire web page, there's only one item that has this tag strong span. Yes.
Just by using rvest, can we parse the HTML links in the tags, not like the text for the hyperlinks?
Yes, and I just don't know it off the top of my head, but we can certainly read the rvest help to figure that out. Okay, but yes, there is a way to get all of this. Okay, so anyway, so I'm using strong span. I'm like, okay, so that's great, and I can copy this. I already have it written in my code, and so what it's saying is go to this page, the Lego Movie HTML, find the thing that's labeled strong span. Okay, and so if I just run this bit of code, it's gonna say, okay, we found that node, and this is the thing, okay, 7.8, all right? And so what we want to do is we want to pull out the text that's in here, and we're going to do HTML text. That's this command right here. So we're going to take this output and feed it into HTML text, and we get 7.8, and we want to turn it from character data into numeric data. So we're piping that into as.numeric, okay? And so we get 7.8. So that's what this line of code does. It says, go to that thing, find the movie, find the thing that says strong span, extract the text using HTML text, and then turn that text into a number, okay? And then so now I can click rating. What's the rating on the Lego movie? 7.8, okay? And then so I could do this on other web pages, pull out the rating, and we can start doing some data analysis that way, right? So now, because now I have actual data, we're able to go to this web page and get this number, right? Okay. We can also pull out multiple things, right? So over here, I want to try to get the cast of the movie, okay? And then sometimes there's like multiple ways to select the tag, and so depending on the order of the things I click, it might be a little different. But so let's say here I want to say like, okay, I want to get the cast here, right? So here Will Arnett. We don't want so somehow it's also clicked the entire like this background thing. So I'm selecting that, and this looks correct. Okay, so it says item prop. Okay, so and that's going to pull out Will Arnett, Elizabeth Banks, Craig Berry, all of these names for those things. So if I use item prop, it'll pull out the cast names. Okay, and so here same type of thing. Go to the Lego Movie webpage, pull out the nodes that are labeled item prop, and pull out that text. So I run that. Okay, and then if I say what is the cast, ta-da! We have the cast from that web page extracted now as character data here. Okay. All right, and then you can even do other things. So I tried to get the URL for this thing, okay, for the poster, okay, and then so here it says pull out the node with this thing, and here we want to get the HTML attribute for SRC. So when you look at the HTML web page, the way it displays an image is that it says here's an image, and this image file is located at this SRC, this location, okay? And you do that, and it pulls out the web address for that image, okay? So if I open a new tab over here, this would be the little image. When I was using the selector gadget, I couldn't get it down to just that thing. It also pulled out this one, which is the other image that appeared in the in that little section there. Okay, so I couldn't isolate just this one. It also pulled them both. And sometimes that happens, but anyway, that's what we have here. Okay, and then other things you can say like you can pull out lots. So if you want to pull out the first movie review. This is someone wrote out all of this text, and it says, like many of you, the first time I saw blah blah. Okay, right. So this is the entire text for one of these movie reviews, and you can see, if you scroll down, this is somewhere in here. Here's all of that text that somebody wrote about the Lego Movie, which, by the way, I enjoyed, and I'm looking forward to the Lego Batman movie that they're making, right? Okay, so that is cool. Maybe you have already seen this. This is where I think the power of rvest really shines. Is that you can create an automated browser. Okay, so for example. Here at the Lego Movie, we can see like, oh, we have a bunch of actors, right? So we got Will Arnett and Elizabeth Banks and all of that. And what we can do is we can click, as a person in our browser, we can click this link that says Will Arnett, and we can go to his cast page or his page, actor page, and say like, oh, what things has Will Arnett been in? Okay, and he's been in the Nut Job 2, or he's going to be in the Nut Job 2. I'm not sure what that is. And then we have the Lego Batman movie, and he's on Conan and BoJack Horseman and all of these things, right? So, and we can be like, oh, okay. And then, you know, these movies are to be released or were released in 2016 or 2017 or TV series things and stuff like that, okay? And then we can say, okay, well, that was Will Arnett. What about Elizabeth Banks? All right, she is going to be in Pitch Perfect 3, because that needs to be a trilogy, and the Power Rangers, and, you know, Rita Hayworth with a hand grenade. I'm not sure what that is, okay? And then Lego Movie 4D, a new adventure, all right? So, you know, this is all of what Hollywood is investing all of their talent and resources into. This is the future of our world. And so what we can do, all right? So notice, so, you know, earlier we said we took the Lego movie and we pulled out the cast, right? So we've already done this part, okay? And then so we have, you know, Will Arnett, Elizabeth Banks, Craig Berry, okay? All of that, all right? So these are the names in the cast, and this is what I can do. So before, the way we handled the thing is we said read HTML. Read HTML takes the web page and it reads it in as information, okay? Over here, we can use the command HTML session, okay? HTML session opens up this browser inside R. It's pretty much the same as this, except we don't get to actually see the page. R is seeing the page itself, okay? And so we open up HTML session, okay? And we're going to just store that session into just S for now, okay? And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just create an empty list where I can store this information, okay? And what I'm going to do is, so for example, within this session, I can give it the command follow link, okay? And with follow link, and there's different things that you can do with follow link. It says basically navigate to a new URL, and there's different ways you can tell it to do this. Basically, you can say find the link that says Will Arnett on it, okay? And when you tell the session to follow that link, it's going to, so if I just run this text, it's going to say it's navigated to this page. And now our session is at the page for Will Arnett. Okay? Status 200, that's a good thing, right? Status 404 is when you get like page not found, okay? And then so we can say follow this link and then read the HTML on this page. And so now what's going to happen is that the Will's page will be the HTML from his thing, okay? And then so Will Arnett's page, this will be the information on his thing, and we can then extract information out of that thing, okay? And so basically what I want to do is I want to go to Will Arnett's page, and I'm going to try to extract his filmography, okay? And so the things I want to extract, I'm going to use selector gadget again to figure out, okay, I want to get the titles of the movies that he's working on. So I click this, and if I just use A, it's going to pull out way too much stuff. So I'm going to say, okay, we don't want all of these other things. Okay, we don't want Surly, and okay, so this looks correct, all right? So if I select the tags that are labeled B and A, it looks like it'll pull Nut Job, Lego Batman movie. It looks like it'll pull out this text, okay? So
how did you deselect it?
so the way you so you first select something, okay, and then everything that it's going to select shows up in yellow, okay? That's if you use the tag A, which is pretty much how we say anchor in or links in HTML. And basically, if you don't want something, you highlight. So you highlight over one of the yellow things, and you'll get a red box around it, and you click that, and it unselects everything else, okay? And we also don't want this, and then it'll show you the things that it will end up selecting. Okay, just in yellow. Okay, and it will tell you how many things that you'll end up selecting, and in this case 207 of them. Okay, so that's what I want to do. I also want to pull the year of these productions. Okay, so I'll click this, and if I just do .year column, that seems to work also. That'll also pull 207, which seems to make sense. Okay, so so anyway, I've coded that into here. Okay, and I said basically when you get to I'm creating a loop that will go through the first 3 things in the cast list, and basically it's going to say first when it under cast 1, right? If I look at the contents of this vector, cast 1 is Will Arnett. So the first time it goes through the loop, it's going to follow the link that says Will Arnett and read in his page for actor page. Okay, and then once it's at the actor page, I'm going to pull out all his filmography by selecting the nodes that say BA. Okay, and we're going to extract out that text, and I'm going to just say I only just want the first 10 movies. Okay. Is that okay? And that will go into, and we're going to store that into the list under cast movies. The first thing in the list will be Will Arnett movies. Okay, and then we'll also go to the actor page, extract out under filmography the year column. All right, and then and that will be the text for the years that the film is being made. And then I just feed it in through a couple more things. So HTML text says pull out the text from that node, because the node has the entire HTML tag. Okay, and we just want the text in there. Okay, we only want the first 10 ones, and then this is a function from stringer. This is trim it. Okay, because when you pull out the text, there's like white space around the thing. It'll be like space 2016 space, and so we just want to trim it just down to 2016 or something like that. Okay, so that's what string trim does. And then and here I'm just also creating a I'm going to just repeat the name Will Arnett multiple times so that when I bind them together it will do that. Okay, and so here I'm just saying run this loop for the first 3 names in cast. Okay, so under cast, it will go follow the links for Will Arnett, Elizabeth Banks, and Craig Berry. Okay, so I'm just going to run this loop. And you can see R is running. It navigated to this page, which is Will Arnett's page. Then it navigated to Elizabeth Banks' page, and then it navigated to Craig Berry's page. All right, and so now I can look at this list that it populated, cast movies. Okay. And it has pulled out all of this information. Okay, it says under Will Arnett, it pulled out the names of the movies. It also pulled out those years, and then it said Will Arnett. Elizabeth Banks, it went to her page. It pulled out her stuff, her movies, and it also replicated her names. And so we could see, Pitch Perfect 3, Power Rangers, Rita Hayworth, and all of that. Okay, and then Craig Berry, whoever he is, it's got all of his information, right? Bartok the Magnificent. Good job. So we've got all of this stuff and all of that information. So it looks like he's getting some work after not working very much. All right. And so we have all of this, and then we can and this is a command from data.table, and it's just going to turn all of this from a list into kind of like a data frame. All right. And so we have this, okay, and we've extracted all of this information. So with rvest, you can have this kind of browser session that will start at a page, follow the links, one by one, however you tell it, and it will go to those things and pull out the information, which I think is very powerful in this idea of web scraping. Okay. All right. We'll end there, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday.